What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Everything Entrepreneurial with me, Curtis Harley. In this episode, I met up with Stephen Frazer. Stephen is the founder of SumoBlue, an e-commerce digital marketing agency based in Dublin. He shares his own experience in the digital marketing industry and what it's like starting up an agency. Let's get right into the episode. Thanks very much for meeting up with us. And anyway, Steve,
no worries.
Would you give us a little bit of an introduction?
Yeah, so I'm basically the owner of SumoBlue, which is a digital marketing agency. We specialise in Google Ads for e-commerce stores, but we also help other small businesses as well, but mainly trying to focus on Google Ads.
Google Ads.
Yeah.
So would you do search campaigns, display campaigns, shopping campaigns, stuff like that?
Yeah, so basically, I suppose the good thing about Google Ads, it's no longer just pay-per-click. It's no longer just about those kind of text ads that you see. Google makes it really, really easy now to compete with the bigger boys in terms of really capturing your audience with display, their Google Smart Display products, where you literally upload. It's basically just kind of embracing their machine learning,
Right.
and basically their smart products can really capture visitors at all stages of the funnel, and basically as well with YouTube as well, their YouTube their YouTube campaigns and setup is basically like, even if you have a small budget, you can really kind of target the people who are looking for what you have to offer. And, it's just a good way for kind of small businesses now and kind of maybe e-commerce stores that are just about starting up. They do have that opportunity to target people who are looking for what they have to offer in a smart way. So
Yeah.
it's no longer just about pay-per-click the way you'd normally think about it. It's basically, it's capturing people with good targeted banner ads and YouTube ads as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would that be like pre-roll YouTube ads? Someone has been searching on Google search for, I don't know, red shoes, and say there's a small Irish business, and they can use, they say they sell red shoes, so they can target people's search queries. And then when they go to YouTube and say they're watching something that's related to it, that video will pop up.
Yeah.
Is that essentially what you're saying?
Yeah, and you can basically make audiences as well. Like you could basically create audiences around what websites people have been looking for. So if you can make a list of your competitors, or you can make a list of websites that people are kind of have or show intent. For example, someone's looking on, if someone's looking to buy or rent a house, like you can basically put those kind of URLs into kind of like an audience, and you can use it to target people. So it's
So if they go on like daft.ie and say there's a banner on the side, that could potentially be.
Yeah.
You could use that space as a business owner.
Yeah. So I suppose if you know someone's looking to rent a house, then I suppose that could be very powerful information for someone like IKEA.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be looking for furniture that won't break the bank.
Yeah.
Where they want to put those little finishes on a house. Buy a nice new kettle. Perhaps maybe painting company or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's just about you're only limited by your imagination, really. If you know how all the kind of Google products work, then it's very powerful. But I suppose it's having the ideas to kind of execute them is nearly, I would say, more important than actually the technology itself.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I just want to kind of loop back, because usually what I do, we talk about growing up, stuff like that, and we'll get into the digital marketing after that.
Cool.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about like growing up, maybe school, or if you were ever travelling, anything like that, just to give us a little bit more information about you?
Yeah. So I suppose I'll go far back as when I graduated college. I graduated from Tala IT, but I think it's called something else. Yeah. What's it called now?
It's TUT, Technological
yeah.
University.
Yeah.
Oh no, TUD. Yeah, Technological University Dublin, because like Blanche and IT Tala are all merged now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that's like the fourth name change that it's had. So I graduated there in 2009 when the shitstorm was happening, and I was working as a barman all throughout my college career for drinking money. And I kind of kept that job on. I didn't have any weekends or New Year's Eves or St. Stephen's Day. They're all taking up my time in the bar. And basically, I basically got so into that job that I was like thinking about would you believe, thinking about moving up the ranks in the bar. It was just that the economy was so bad and people couldn't see the wood from the trees.
Yeah.
But you know, somebody came down to me as I was working a day shift in the bar, where it's basically mad. You had to serve about 100 cups of coffee per half an hour. And somebody came out and he says, you should basically go to Australia, or like basically what you're doing here, you're young, you should go out and travel the world.
Was this a customer now, like a randomer, or was it someone that you knew?
I think he was the reservations manager from upstairs.
Right.
So it was kind of like an epiphany moment where I just says, exactly. So this is literally how it happened. I went home to my now wife. I said, look, let's get out of here. And we did. But that decision spurred something on. I had done internships before for free, basically.
Right.
And I suppose now we're getting into how I got into digital marketing. In around the same time, or I suppose there's a few failed attempts at internships, but there was one that I worked for a cleaning company.
Right.
And basically, they basically had me cold calling companies saying, do you need cleaning services? Which was obviously, as you can imagine, a nightmare. You know what I mean? So I'd spend 40% of my time building up lists and companies to contact. I'd do tenders as well, but I would also basically just the other 40% of my time calling companies. But the owner said to me, he goes, look, every time I type in office cleaning Dublin, like we're third or fourth, how can we be number one? And that's basically how it started. And so that kind of caught my fascination. I just and that was around 2010, and then just shortly after that is when I had that conversation with the reservations manager who said that. But then, having made that decision, I luckily enough got my first start in kitchenfittingsdirect.com, and they're still going out, or you can type in .ie, you'll still find them. And basically they sell thousands of products, but it's all online. So I basically luckily enough got that job in 2000, and I'll tell you the exact date. It was 2000, and it was November 2010.
Right.
So it was just before Christmas. It was when the mad snow was on.
Big snow.
It was just it was just crazy. Like it was about 2 weeks, and then basically.
How'd you feel getting that job? Like, was it like, oh, this is me start? Like, this is.
Yeah, 100%. Like to get a job like that in 2010, where there was no jobs for like those types of jobs for graduates, and everybody was emigrating. But I'd already decided at that stage, so I worked there for 11 months.
Right.
And then I jetted off for Sydney.
Australia.
Sydney, Australia.
Tell us about that now.
Yeah. So we decided, my now wife and Sandra, our friend, our really good friend, one of Steph's bridesmaids, we decided to get our regional work out of the way, which is 88 days of hell.
Oh, was that the picking, like doing all that kind of stuff out on the farm?
Yeah. So
Good bit of graft.
Yeah. It's basically, I had landed a job for $10 an hour, which is about like half the minimum wage, and Steph and Sandra had a job picking oranges, and it was just a nightmare. So we lasted about that was January 2012.
Right.
We basically January in Melbourne, and we were in a place called Mildura, which is the most northern part of Victoria.
Okay.
Everybody seemed to be going to Melbourne, so we lasted about 14 days. And January in Melbourne's when it's hopping, like all the festivals are on. The Australian Open was on. It's absolutely buzzing. Like it's the height of their summer as opposed to January here, which is quite different. So we decided to go back down there from January onwards to 2012. I was basically happy just to kind of float around and just kind of not really think about my career. But I got a job then in a call centre. Right. Now, I never thought that I could speak on the phone to someone because I was at that stage of my life I was a bit nervous. But I basically went along with it, and I says, the money was pretty good. I said, look, sure, I'll do the training for a week, and if I'm no good, that's fine. It's still a week's wages.
Yeah, exactly.
But I ended up staying there for 6 months, and I absolutely loved it. I was one of the top kind of lead generators there. I think the accent, just when people hear a different accent, they just kind of like go into a trance. It's something different. And I basically, so I worked there for 6 months, and they were basically looking to sponsor me as well. So I was flirting with the idea of staying on for, which would make it a year. But during that time, I basically used to go for interviews with digital agencies, SEO agencies, and a big stickler for them was like, "No, you're not going to be here that long. You don't have your visa, blah blah blah." I was like, "Oh shit, it's probably not going to happen."
Yeah.
So I basically kept trying, but there was one agency, and I went for an interview, and like they called me back about 2 months after.
Wow. It's a long old time to come back.
And they basically knew my situation, and myself and Steph, my wife, we were about to go to Perth. We're scheduled the day after to go for Perth, for a holiday, and the plan was to go to New Zealand after the year was up. But the day before we were scheduled to fly off, I got a call from that agency. They're called Stake in Melbourne.
Right.
SEO and PPC agency, and they basically rang me up and they says, "Look, do you still want to get sponsored?" I goes, "Yeah," and I basically just rang Steph up and says, "We're staying." Yeah. So there I worked for a year and a half with the agency, where it was like deep. Like anybody would tell you, they're a London-based agency originally.
Okay.
And they're quite intense, and like in terms of how they work, it's like long hours, like. It's really intense, and that's where I got like a really, really deep understanding of SEO, where I just kind of immersed myself in SEO.
Was there a big team of SEO? Like, was a big SEO team, and you were learning off others, or was it kind of like you have to do this, go learn yourself? And
no, I had a good team around me, and then like there was a PPC arm as well that kind of sat next door, but we kind of learned the hard way, because during the time I was working there was like big algorithm updates, especially Google Penguin.
Okay.
Google Penguin 2.0 happened, and like a big part of my job was link building, because I was a junior.
Yeah.
And Penguin 2.0 came in 2012, and we lost 2 major clients because of that. So as a result, I was let go basically, and I basically thought again, I probably have to go home now because I've no one to pick up my sponsorship. But luckily enough, then 2013, in around May, I think it was, I literally had 2 weeks left to go, like, or else I would have had to get out. I found this other job. I basically went for this interview against another person, but what I did was a full-scale audit of their digital marketing, what needed to be fixed from an SEO point of view, a real deep dive, and I got the job. So they took over my sponsorship, and I worked with them for 3 years for my remaining time in Australia. Had an absolute brilliant time working there, and now I still have them as a client with SumoBlue. So my relationship with them has been, we're coming on nearly 6.5 years with them.
That's brilliant, and it just goes to show like the relationship that you've forged with them says a lot about you, says a lot about your work. the work that you've done for them, they obviously really appreciate and value it. So that's a really nice thing just to even spot, that way.
Yeah, I know, it's brilliant.
Yeah. I've also just noticed about you as well that you're very adaptable, which is obviously crucial for entrepreneurship. Like you said, you are getting your kind of mental state, getting ready to go home, and then something else happened, and then you kind of pivoted, that way. So that's another great quality to have, that way.
I've noticed that.
So you got a lot of work that you kept on with clients from over in Australia. So I'd like to finish up with how you moved back over and how you started up what you're currently doing today, if you could tell us about that. And then what we'll do is maybe I'd like to know where you kind of steered in the direction of entrepreneurship. So tell us about coming back to Australia and then or coming back to Ireland from Australia.
Yeah, so my fiance, so we got engaged in 2015, and we had really looked at the idea of actually living out there, but at that stage of our lives, basically the housing market over in Australia was really inflated, and our best case scenario for a house at that stage would have been out in the suburbs in Australia.
Right.
Not near the beach where we're kind of renting at that time, in around St Kilda. So we're like, look, like when it comes down to it, and we want to start a family, which we do want to do we want to do it in Australia, or do we want to do it in Ireland around our family and friends? So it kind of came to that. Really, it was just it all came to a boil.
Let's head home.
Let's head home. Yeah.
Cool. So you came back over here, and you were obviously the people that you were working with over there for their SEO. They were happy with you moving back, and they were like, we'd be happy to keep in contact and keep working with you.
Yeah.
So that's what you've been doing since you came back to Ireland ever since?
Yeah, well, there've been times where they've hired people, it didn't work out. They've hired people, didn't work out.
Yeah.
They've said to me, look, we would prefer to have someone here. So I've kind of been like, when I first came back, I was working for them, and then they hired someone. That person left. I started back up with them.
Right.
So I've kind of been there for them when they needed it, really.
Yeah.
And again, they're in that phase where this is actually the longest I've ever worked for them, because they're just kind of fed up with the inconsistency. And they kind of know me. They know that I know Google Ads, and my skills have actually improved with my time at Appliances Delivered. So like they basically have stuck with me now for the longest period, which is about 7 months now at this stage.
That's brilliant. Just a testament to you, and once again your skills that you were there. You allowed them to like do their own thing, which is great, and then you were there for them to kind of pick it back up, because there is inconsistencies. Like through my experience in digital marketing and stuff, like the clients that I've worked with, like there is a lot of cowboys out there too, you know what I mean? They say that they know things, and like they're not getting results, or the level of service isn't there. So it is a real testament to what you're actually doing.
Yeah, cheers.
Cool. So let's talk about your business now. Tell us about that. So you said actually Appliances Delivered. That's a really big site in Ireland. So could you tell us a little bit of what you were doing there? It's something similar, was it?
Yeah. So basically, they're a startup, and I've said it before. They kind of they really did shake up a traditional space where you get your washing machine, you get your dishwasher from
Power City or
typically Power City.
Yeah.
My mum and dad always said that. So why did I do that? I just go to Power City, Harvey Norman, and typically traditional bricks and mortar. So online only for an appliance retailer in Ireland is completely different, and so it was really exciting. They're part of like Communicorp, which is kind of like a bigger company, so they had a lot of expertise to draw upon from, I suppose, the kind of sister radio stations that they have, Today FM, and
brilliant,
so they have a big pool of talent to kind of draw upon, and so it was just growing that and helping them grow that, through all the stuff that I've learned throughout the years, SEO, PPC, I suppose, like even the smallest things that I brought there, like the introduction of Bing Ads, for example, was huge. It sort of brought it brought revenue on Google, on Bing Ads alone, into kind of, I'd say, 6 figures at the very least. And like when I suggested it, they're like Bing
Yeah,
shit.
who
Like,
uses Bing? Like, kind
but
of.
yeah, but when you add it all up into a year, like
Yeah.
it actually makes up
Like
a good
people
chunk.
use it, you know that way.
People do
That's
use
really
it.
smart, yeah.
Like even I kind of look at Steph. She'd be browsing her laptop. She uses Bing, but she doesn't even know the difference.
Yeah, right.
So people who aren't like really picky about their settings, who get like a laptop as default, they'll just
It's
leave
Windows
Bing
operated, so maybe Bing, or no, they're not the same, are they? Is Windows on Bing?
there. Yeah, Microsoft.
Oh, or Microsoft, yeah, that's what I meant.
Microsoft ads.
So maybe it's
that's
like
what
a
they're called
default
now.
one, so
Yeah.
that's actually really smart of you.
Yeah.
That was a good move.
Yeah, like and so like quick wins, like as well as the long term strategy that I put in place and getting their Google ads set up correctly, like literally just switching on a button and turning on Bing ads was like was just a huge quick win, you know.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
putting on the shades like a boss.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So I'm actually really curious. This is why I started the podcast. I wanted to know about other entrepreneurs and how they kind of got into their business and what kind of triggered all that. So what made you get into wanting to start your own business?
Yeah, so it was like as soon as I suppose it started about 4 or 5 years ago. I read a blog basically. I suppose going way back, it started when I was working in the agency.
Right.
And I basically said that God, I could really do this. Something that I'd love to do. I love meeting people, and I really think that I could get results. So it started as far back as then, and then I basically said to myself, well, I'll just bide my time. I need to like get some results. So I really got those results with My Pet Warehouse, and then I was like hell bent. Then coming home from Australia, I was like, I'm definitely gonna start it when I get back. But you know, we needed to get a house.
Life
you know,
happens,
life happens basically. So I basically started putting the plan and the savings in place when I got my job at Appliances Delivered, and I started to get my ducks in a row. I set up the business. I was doing it on the side, getting all the legal stuff, the finicky stuff set up.
Yeah.
And then, you know, after 3 years of planning and saving for a house and eventually getting the house and getting married as well, which happened two months ago.
Did it? Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you very much. So it was it definitely wasn't an overnight decision. It was well planned, and I suppose, you know, what also did it for me as well was there was a blog post I read, basically how to start a digital agency,
Right.
And that kind of spoke earlier as well before we went live, about the book The E-Myth Revisited.
Yeah.
And that kind of really opened my eyes. And then I read that book. I read it very, very fast. Normally it takes me about 2 years to read a book.
You were hooked, were you? Just like flying through the pages.
Yeah, so and it basically speaks about, you know, systemizing your business and how it, like, if you do it properly, like, you can have the business work for you and not you work for the business.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of struggle. Small business owners, even like freelancers and stuff, people on their own, like they get caught working in their business, not on their business, you know, that way. So that's a kind of major pitfall for most people.
Yeah. So so that's really it. And now for the last 2 months, it's been a learning curve. You know, I've had to be patient as well. Like, things don't happen overnight. I really have to start from the ground up and getting like maybe 3 or 4 solid clients and doing again, like, being patient, how I was patient starting my business in the first place and actually earning my stripes first of all.
Yeah.
I really have to earn my stripes now as an agency and maybe start with like clients that I can manage. Well, this is the plan, it could all change, you know, it's still all learning. But I've kind of found, and I've kind of been reading up on the importance of kind of just looking after, really looking after the clients that you have already. And it's as important to kind of, well, it's more important to keep the clients that you have rather than finding new ones, you know.
That's true, and it can cost a lot of time and money to acquire new customers. So
Yeah.
if you have someone who's already giving you money, like, it would be silly to
Yeah.
throw that away or neglect them in some way. Like, you can't
Yeah.
take it for granted, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, I suppose the money is definitely a driving factor in terms of like having a good life and everything like that. But, you know, and might sound cheesy, and people used to say it before, and I used to think it sounded a bit fake or cheesy, but getting your clients results is like, it's like a really good like rush. Like it really is. It's like being in Vegas and you hit like your lucky number on roulette. When you get like, it's a really good endorphin high that you get when you actually get good results for your clients.
Yeah, I'm the exact same. I'm in the client service business, digital marketing as well, and like, if I'm checking the analytics and I'm seeing the conversions or whatever, or like I'm checking something in the day and it's like it's really high, or you know, I'm like, fuck yeah, like this is great, like, you know,
no better feeling.
Really. And one of the reasons probably you do it as well is you want to help small business owners. You know what I mean, you want to make a difference in their lives too, and help them provide a better service. You know, that way. Okay, so we've touched on a few things. We talked about, obviously, like, to get that out of the way, money. Obviously, money is important. It gives you the flexibility. But like, what else drew you out of entrepreneurship? Was it like maybe the freedom, the flexibility? Is there anything like that was kind of like another reason?
Yeah. I suppose, being totally honest, is when it's not your business. I mean, your opinion is still important, but I wanted to be the one making the ultimate decisions and kind of standing over my decisions. It's just kind of like the freedom and the independence to kind of make mistakes and make decisions yourself and kind of learn from those and kind of grow something. Just the fact of growing something myself kind of is probably the kind of best answer for that. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
So, like every entrepreneur, well, even every person out there, they experience stress, headaches, everything like that.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the day-to-day runnings, the stress of the business? Do you manage that? How do you find that? Maybe like the mental side of things rather than like actually doing the work.
Yeah, like, I suppose we spoke briefly. It's like, since I've been working since I'm 14 with people, always working with people.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, how many years is that? That is like 16. That's 19 years of working with people, and then the last 2 months have been me working on my own.
Yeah.
So it's a massive contrast where you're not bouncing ideas off people. So that's been tough. I've learned how to manage that, and like by getting out of the office as well, kind of having these conversations with yourself.
So for anyone listening, this is how he's overcoming this kind of loneliness, because I've experienced it as well, starting a business like from home, bootstrapping, like the no investment, it's just you.
Yeah.
Like, so for other people who are actually thinking of starting their business and stuff, so getting out of the office, even if it's at home, even if you don't have an office at home and you're like in your kitchen, say for example, get out, go for a walk maybe.
Yeah, 100%. Go for a walk, keep up the exercise. I suppose, like, always remember that it's a marathon, not a sprint. And for the first month, like, and it's literally only last month, I was sprinting and I was trying to do everything at once, and I was getting freaked out and I was getting frustrated that, you know, like the conversion pixel wasn't on my website, or it like I had to do accounting stuff, and it kind of like it all started to like felt like it was all starting to pile up. But you just have to kind of always remember that your mental health comes first, and that like it's important to kind of have some me time as well, and really look at this as kind of like something that you enjoy and that you're passionate about. And yeah, I suppose it's just a learning curve, and I'm still learning.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So I have a good understanding of who you are and like the experiences that draw you into entrepreneurship and stuff. What is the next 6 to 12 months like for you, and then where do you see yourself 5 or 10 years? What would you like to be doing?
Yeah, so still figuring it out. But in the 6 to 12 months are a bit clearer. So I do want to grow an agency, and I want to grow it with those principles in mind of the E-Myth, I want to be sure to kind of systemize things. I suppose then it comes down to hiring the right people. I'm very much a technician, whereby I've, like, learned like how to optimize title tags, and I've very much an SEO nerd, and that's my background. And then the PPC work, I'm very much a PPC technician. So I suppose eventually I will have to learn how to transition kind of more away from that, but still, it's important that, like, I suppose it's important that I understand that, like, the technical work, but I do have to transition. I suppose I'd say in about 12 months when I do have to start hiring people. So getting good at kind of providing a culture, getting good at kind of hiring the right people, which is a completely different set of skills that I don't have at the moment.
Right.
So
yeah,
I suppose, but for the moment, it's about building up like maybe 2 or 3 other clients that I can work with, and just kind of providing really good work for them. And then I suppose that's kind of 12 months is kind of doing all the other stuff.
Cool, yeah. So I suppose what we could do is, if you would have any basic kind of fundamental things, either PPC, SEO advice for startup businesses or people who are looking to start maybe an e-commerce site. Maybe if you could give even like 2 or 3 of each, just some basic kind of things, help them get their ducks in a row. What advice would you give to them?
Well, if you're looking to start an e-commerce store, or you think, maybe I'll start, it's quite difficult. First of all, my friend wanted to start a baby clothes business, but found out that he was just being beaten on price. I suppose if you have a passion for maybe fitness or something like that, it could be worth kind of maybe developing your own product, having it made in China, really cheap, because if your product is unique, then it's hard for someone to compete with you on price.
Yeah.
That's maybe another option for you.
Yeah.
In Ireland, I suppose we still like finding quirky products on Amazon, and maybe kind of selling them in Ireland, and because people don't, like, a lot of people still don't have that trust with Amazon, so I suppose that's something that you could take advantage of.
Definitely,
I think Bing ads as well, what we just spoke about, that's kind of like a no-brainer. If like it really is easy to set up, so I suppose that literally just plugs all your campaigns, brings them into Bing ads, and that could be like, I don't know, maybe 5% of your revenue, an extra 5% onto your revenue. SEO, like PPC, I suppose with Google, just going back to Google there, like, you really have all of the tools within Google Ads, the Google Ads platform, to compete with the big boys now. You really do. Google's smart display products, basically, Google and Facebook, it's all about understanding how machine learning works.
Right.
And I suppose it's something that I'm kind of interested in as well, as machine learning. But Google Ads really has everything that you need to kind of compete with the big boys, and it's done through audiences. So you can be very, very targeted to people that you want to speak to. You don't need, like, you don't need to kind of spend hundreds of thousands on TV. TV does work. Believe me, I've seen TV work with appliances delivered.ie. It still works, despite what Gary Vaynerchuk says. It definitely does work, and it really showcases your brand, but it's really expensive.
Yeah.
But for the smaller lads, I mean, you get a good video, a slick video done for €750, and then if you're in the accounting niche or audience, you can just target people in the market for accounting services or small business owners. So only those people are going to see your ad. And I suppose, like, everybody's on YouTube these days.
Yeah.
And then with Google's smart display products, which is basically using using Google's machine learning and basically giving, I suppose, like you have to give 5 headlines and 4 descriptions, and you can load up as many images as you like.
Right, so it's like a dynamic shopping campaign, is that what it would be like? It doesn't interact with the merchant centre, does it?
No.
Right.
But smart shopping is basically all machine learning now as well.
So it's like it's pulling one ad, it's pulling one headline, it's testing that compared to the other 3 or 4, and then whichever works the most, it shows more often.
Yeah, that's basically smart display.
Right.
I don't think there's much there's no variation really that you can give the ads in Google Shopping. I think it's whatever your title is and then your image. But yeah, and that's really it's really straightforward to set up as well. So yeah, I suppose there's never been a better time for small businesses or medium-sized businesses to kind of break in and compete much more cleverly with kind of the big boys.
Yeah.
Because all the tools are there, really.
But that leads us on to saying all the tools are there, but people might not have the time. They might not have the team. They might not have the resources to do that.
Yeah.
So they're looking for people like myself or more. You specialise in this type of stuff. So if anyone was looking to kind of increase their or get better results on their Google Ads campaign, or maybe they wanted a website audit or an SEO audit, or they're looking for someone to take on their SEO, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah. So you can get me at hello@sumoblue.ie. Or you can visit the website sumoblue.ie. So sumo like the wrestler, and then blue like the colour. Yeah.
That's brilliant, yeah. Yeah, thanks very much for coming on to the podcast. And anyway, I really appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Gordon.
All right.
Cheers.
Cool.